overall thoughts on the presentation of the system. John, I'm going to come to you first, but first of all, for those of us who were tuning in to the live stream, that was a disaster zone, really, wasn't it? Started off okay, but then things dropped out of sync. Then there was a massive pause, which meant you didn't get to see Cyberpunk, and I think you didn't get to see Final Fantasy. And then it was sort of out of sync for the rest of the presentation. Kind of weird. But overall thoughts on the presentation and the system itself?
So I would say it was largely good. I felt a little tinge of disappointment in that we didn't see some of the more advanced features that we believe this chipset should be capable of. I didn't expect Nintendo itself to mention stuff like DLSS by name necessarily, because it's traditionally not something they like to do. But I felt like we should have seen a little bit of more evidence of that stuff here, and it does make me wonder what's going on that front. But overall, though, I was very pleased with the screen specs. It's, that's a lot better than I had imagined. The overall system seems very well thought out and addresses some of the limitations of the original. Most of the games looked pretty good. The performance levels were perhaps not always where I would have loved to see for some of the third-party stuff, but Nintendo's first-party stuff, as usual, holds up well. I'm happy that there's, with the way they're sticking with physical media for main games. I don't like the new case designs that they showed, which wasn't actually in the presentation, but I know they have to differentiate them, but it looks a little bit weird, especially with the red box and the giant red bar and the red cartridge. They're just going all in on red this time. But overall, I think it's going to be, it needs to be, and that's the thing, this needs to be a success. I think it will be, but there's
absolutely,
there's a few things that might turn some people away. But I think by and large, it's going to hit. It's going to be big, and it needs to be, because the Switch itself was so big and so many companies relied on that success. This is a platform they needed to target. And it's also really important for the future of gaming consoles in general, right? So this is something that I really want to see hit big. I hope it does. And I hope that I hope there's a lot more that we just haven't seen yet waiting for us as the platform matures and we start to see more software show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oliver?
I think this was a pretty decent presentation. It was disappointing in a few respects. And if I was to round out those just off the top here, I think the overall quality of the games being shown was a bit inconsistent. I thought the first-party stuff looked pretty good. Some of the third-party stuff was a little bit lower quality. And I think ultimately people do need to feel like Switch 2 is a generational upgrade over the original Switch in a lot of respects. And they also need to be treated to a high quality of high level of high quality Nintendo software there. I think that latter aspect will be satisfied with the Switch 2, but I do want to see consistently high quality graphical experiences in the Switch 2. I am really encouraged by the display characteristics, like John said, the HDR 120Hz VRR. That is a really nice combination of technologies to have on the go. That is going to be a really premium display, and I can't wait to see it in person. I'm sure it will be terrific. And then there are some other notes of concern about, pricing and, again, image quality, DLSS, things like this. But I think overall, Nintendo, their first-party efforts look really exciting. I'm really excited about, in particular, that new Donkey Kong game and Mario Kart. And the Switch 2 edition concept seems quite compelling too, especially being able to play I have not quite wrapped up Tears of the Kingdom to my satisfaction. I'd love to go back and play that through at 1440p 60. That seems like a pretty satisfying experience on Switch 2 for people with bigger libraries. And hopefully the upgrade price is not going to be too steep, maybe $10. Nintendo, hopefully not too bad there. But yeah, I think this is this is like an incredibly dense presentation. I don't think I've ever seen a presentation for a console that's this dense, with content, with context, with different little things that people keep sending me over Discord, different little aspects of the system and the compatibility lists and all these different things. And I'm sure we'll be poring over it for some time to come. But yeah, I'm quite excited for Switch 2. And I think this presentation was more or less in line with expectations, minus 1 or 2 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I also agree with your comments on the case there, John. It kind of gave me HD DVD
right.
deja vu. It's like somebody's like ramped up the exposure on an HD DVD case.
The look and sound of perfect. Not anymore, though.
I thought it was. I think here's the thing, right? I mean, when we saw the first presentation for the Switch 2 and we saw Mario Kart, they were keeping a lot of their powder dry, right? And now we know a bit more about the system. We've got a wide range of games to mull over here, but I still think this is just the beginning. There's a lot more to come. And I'm really curious to see what we're going to be seeing over the coming weeks and months. I guess I'm still, I guess the thing that I'm really, really interested in seeing is the gulf between handheld and docked play. Because, basically running the entire system on 10 watts effectively, that'll include the screen, which is, can run at 120 hertz. That is a massively constrained power budget versus I remember running the God of War on the Steam Deck when I first got it. And, to hit 30 FPS, that was running at like 26 watts. And there does seem to be a pretty impressive level of efficiency going on here based on the snippets. And there are just a couple of snippets of what we assume is handheld footage. I really want to see the handheld experience. Docked looks okay. What can I say? But yes, obviously hungry to see more, and there will be more, and hands-on opportunities coming soon.